Welcome back to Daily Driven Alpha. Bit of a project car update. After the work that we've done over the last couple of days, taking a steering box that looked like this, we soda blasted it, wet blasted it, cleaned it up, pulled it apart, replaced all the gaskets, replaced all the lube, made sure it was working smoothly, and the fun part, we've repainted it, and that's looking nice and neat, ready to go back into the project car. So quite happy with that. But today what I wanted to do was just quickly take you through a simple task, but still important, tail shaft. And of course, once again, on the Alfa forums you'll see people talking about tail shafts and balancing and vibration and did we put it in correctly, and I guess it's such a simple task, but you can make mistakes with these, and identifying them is important as well. You'll notice that it's got the rubber sort of bushing that sits in a frame, if you like, underneath in the tunnel for the 1600 cars. I've just got this section here from a 2-litre version of the 115s, and you'll notice this has got a much beefier steel bracket that holds the bearing, and then obviously you've got the other section here that goes to the diff, but this section here, you can see the diameter of the shaft here is significantly larger than the diameter on the 1600s, obviously for the larger engines. It's just a simple way of looking at what tail shafts are what, for those of you who haven't seen the two separately. You can't swap this straight into the 1600 under the tunnel. You'd need to make modifications. This bracket does not fit straight up. So the bushing that you've got here, the rubber bush, quite a simple bit of engineering that holds the actual bearing itself in there, and then these have got a spline in here where the actual section that goes to the diff can move as the vehicle differential moves up and down with the suspension. We've got simple universal joints in these. Some of the older models have got more expensive universal joints that have actually got grease nipples on them, and they're quite expensive to replace. Luckily for us, these are the more common garden variety, later model ones, and these are relatively easy to get out. You'll notice that they have got circlips in them, and you need to pull those out. There's a recess in there that the circlip sits in, and they've got they're spring loaded internally as well to push the circlip out into the actual fitting itself and maintain tension there so that they don't start moving around. One of the key things though when you're doing these is to ensure that you make sure you've got the alignment right, and you'll notice on this one here you can see these punch marks. Somebody has previously punched this and split it apart and made sure that they put the alignment back in the way it came. Now there have been some forum articles that I've seen on vibration in the drivetrain where people are concerned that they may have changed the orientation here, and because these are balanced they may have actually altered that, and that may start giving you some issues with your drivetrain. But really what we'll do is we'll punch these out, put new universal joints in, split the spline apart, clean that all out, put some new grease in that, basically wire wheel everything down, take this rust off. I mean, you could blast it if you want to, but really I find that just putting it on a wire wheel is just as quick. It's got less mess associated with it, and that's just a personal preference. For me, I like to wire wheel all the rust off, get it right down to nice clean metal, and then degrease it, prep it, and then we'll paint it and we'll have a dryer shaft that's ready to go back in. So really another small job in restoring the Alfa. As I was saying, plenty of these small jobs to do, but put a couple of hours in, take your time, do it right, and the reward will be there for you. Hope you enjoyed that.